Good morning, children. This video is made for class 8 and the subject is physics. First of all, I'll tell you that again this year also we are using the same book, Oxford New Science in Everyday Life. And the syllabus for physics is this. We'll start with chapter 10, Force and Friction, chapter 11, Pressure, 12, Sound, chapter 14, Some Natural Phenomena, chapter 15, Light, and chapter 16, Stars and Solar System. We will start first with the chapter Force. What is force? In 6th standard you have learned about motion and how motion takes place. The agency which applies on it, something which applies on an object to create motion is called force. In other words, we can define that a simple push or a pull is called force. Now, what is the SI unit of force? The SI unit of force is Newton. Let me write it. Force. A simple push or a pull on an object is known as motion. SI unit of force is Newton. Okay. Now what happens when force is applied on an object? See, if object is rigid and you apply force on it. If the object is at rest initially, you apply force on it, it may happen that it will start moving. Okay. If already it is moving and you apply the force in the same direction, then its speed will increase. If the object is already moving and you apply force from opposite direction, its speed will decrease. Sometimes it may come to rest also. So what we have understood, that when we apply force on a stationary object, it can move. When we apply a force on a moving object, it can come to rest. Okay. And you must have seen the game of badminton. You must have seen the players are applying force to change the direction of the cock. That means what? What is the third effect of force? That it can change the direction of an object. This was all about a rigid body, that a force can change the state of motion. That means if a body is at rest and we apply force, it can move. If already it is moving, you can increase up its speed. If an object is in motion, you can decrease its speed or you can bring it to rest. If an object is moving in one direction, by applying force, you can change its direction. Now, if the object is not rigid, but it is a soft object and you apply force on it, then what may happen? It may change its shape or size, like you stretch a rubber band. So, its size will increase. Shape may not change. But if you inflate a balloon, its shape may also change and size will also change. So, all these are the effects of forces. Means when we apply force on an object, all things may happen. Let us write down all the effect of forces. So, what is the first effect? It can bring an object in motion, or it can increase the speed of an object. Second, it can bring a moving object to rest, or it can slow down the speed. Third is, it can simply change the direction of motion. Change the direction of the object. Okay. And last is, it can change the shape or size of the object. What are all these? These all are the effect of force. Whenever we apply force, we need two things. One, the agency which applies the force, and the other object on which the force is applied. When the force is applied, it may produce some effect. Sometimes it fails to show the effect, but it will tend to create a change in the state of motion of that object. Okay. Now, there is a word magnitude of force. What is that? Magnitude of force means the strength of force. How much force is applied? You can mathematically give it a number. Okay. So let me take an example in which an object is under the effect of a force whose magnitude is 5 Newton. That means a 5 Newton of force is applied on this object to move it. The object may be moving slowly or it may not be moving. So more 5 Newton I apply in the same direction. What will I see? The object starts moving. That means when we apply two forces in same direction, they get add up. Okay. So magnitude of force get add up when both the forces are applied on same object in same direction. So what will be the resultant force? It will be 5 Newton plus 5 Newton means 10 Newton. Now for an instance, if the object is kept under the effect of a 5 Newton force and from the other direction I applied another force of 3 Newton. So what will be the effect? Now the sum will be 5 Newton, and because 3 is in opposite direction, so minus 3 Newton, because they are in opposite direction, so opposite sign will be used. So the forces will be subtracted and the body will undergo and it will experience the effect of the higher magnitude of force, means it will move according to the direction of this 5 Newton force. Okay. So when two forces are applied on an object in same direction, their magnitude will get added up. When the two forces are applied on an object in opposite direction, their magnitude will get subtracted. For example, if both the magnitudes are equal and applied from the opposite direction on the same object, then what will happen? They both will cancel each other and the state of motion of the object will not change. If the object is at rest, it will remain at rest only. Okay. Now, this force is classified into two. Let us see the classification of force now. So, the force is classified into two. Force is classified as contact force and non-contact force. Contact force and non-contact force. As I told you before, for applying force we need two things: force applying agency and the object on which force is applied. If both are directly or indirectly in contact with each other, like for example, I am carrying a book, I am applying some force to carry it. So my hand is directly in the contact with the book. If I am having many books which I am not able to hold together, I will put it in a bag. Now I am not touching the books directly, but I will hold the bag. That means I am in indirect contact with the books, but still contact is there. So this kind of a force which is applied to carry the book is known as contact force, and the name given to it is muscular force. The another one is non-contact force. What happens in non-contact force? Like you must have seen in 6th standard we have studied about magnets now. So magnet can pull iron pins at a distance also. It can pull the iron pins from a distance also. It need not to be touched to it. Okay, so that force is applied at a distance without any physical contact. So that magnetic force is an example of non-contact force. Other examples of contact and non-contact forces are like contact force. Number one is muscular force. Muscular force, the force which is applied by our body parts. The another is frictional force. The frictional force is an opposing force. In later videos, I will explain you more about it. Non-contact force, number one is magnetic force, which is applied between the poles of magnet. Magnetic force. Second is electrostatic force. Electrostatic force applied between the charges. That is also non-contact force. They need not to be in physical contact. And third is very commonly known to you. That is gravitational force. Yes, the force with which the earth pulls us. That is gravitational force. Okay, so let us recap. What is the definition of force? A simple push or pull is called, acting on an object is called force. SI unit of force is Newton. The effect of forces are, that means when force is applied on an object, what may happen? It can bring the object to motion. It can bring the object to come to rest. It can change the direction of the object. And it can change the shape and size of the object. And in the next part I have told you that magnitude of force will get added up if both the forces or more than one force is acting in same direction on the same object. If they are applied in from different direction or from opposite direction, then what will happen? Their magnitude will get subtracted. If both the forces are equal and acting in from opposite direction on the same object, the effect will get cancelled. That means the resultant force will be 0. Now force is classified into two: contact force and non-contact force. Examples are contact force is muscular force and frictional force. In non-contact force, magnetic force, electrostatic force and gravitational force. About all these in details we will learn in the next video. Thank you.